As of today, at the same time,
Suspect was earlier today. It was announced on the No Jumper News that Almighty Suspect, a recurrent host on No Jumper for about 2 or 3 years now, has been fired. Suspect was fired for spitting on a co-host and pulling a knife out when an altercation broke out.
I'm gonna say what I want to say.
and you
I
watch
called
Wee
this
Wees.
nigga Antoine Dotson and everything else.
You
I'm
watch
still
Wee Wees.
gonna come to No Jumper.
You
I'm
watch Wee
gonna walk in and out this. If a want to do something, there's nothing but space and opportunity. Ain't worried about a light skin.
You ain't
No
never-
period.
you
So
ain't
if
never-
that gangster, he's always
never
bringing up
called me
fighting. You can't
You
get
ain't
a
never
nigga
called
bringing
me
up
no
fighting, trying to put it on
You ain't
another
never
do
called me no-
something.
So,
But I just caught you one.
I feel like
Just like that. You are a
guys.
oh,
Guys, come on. Guys, come on. Stop. Chill, guys.
oh, what?
Let's do something.
Hey, bro,
Suspect has swung on another person for calling him a B on No Jumper, and a lot of people were sympathetic to Suspect in the past because the person called him a B unprovokingly. However, in this situation, Suspect did call Brandon a B first, called Brandon a B recurrently, like during the episode. So Brandon returned the favor in calling Suspect a B, and Suspect getting up and spitting on Brandon and pulling out a knife when an altercation took place. A lot of people looked at that as inexcusable. I've been a fan of No Jumper for about 6 years. I've been a host on No Jumper for about 3 years, and I've never seen Adam fire anybody for conduct on camera. Usually when Adam is mad at you or he fires you, and he really only fired one person ever, and that was Lush One for something that Lush did outside of No Jumper in the Discord. But to fire somebody for conduct detrimental to, I guess, the workplace or things done on camera usually never happens. So this came to a surprise to a lot of people because the narrative on No Jumper or how No Jumper is being perceived when it comes to the audience or to other members of hip-hop media is that No Jumper is this wild, wild west where any and everything goes in gangland. So when they hear about somebody, spitting on another person or pulling out a knife, essentially, like, the temperature is, well, that's just what happens at No Jumper. And Adams is like, no. If this would have happened 6 months ago, do suspects still got a job? I think so. However, when you look at the current climate, you got to be able to read the room. The feds just came, took one of the hosts. Another person pistol whipped and beat up somebody outside of No Jumper. That's included in a federal indictment. You got the feds looking. You got the hip-hop media world looking. You got A-listers and celebrities and rappers claiming I can't come to No Jumper because right now it's looking violent. So Adam right now is very aware of what the perception is, and he's trying to change it. So once you're trying to change it and then this happened where another host pulls out a knife on another host, you kind of have to act. Now, I was expecting a suspension of some sort. I wasn't expecting a full-on firing, but Adam explains why it was a firing instead of a suspension.
I have an announcement. Many of you are probably expecting this. As of today, Almighty Suspect will no longer be a host on No Jumper. For anyone who's living in a hole in the ground, there was a confrontation last night between Brandon, a.k.a. Bucci Bear, a.k.a. Dark Brandon, and Almighty Suspect that resulted in both spit flying and a knife being pulled out. Both of these are infractions that I fear we just cannot tolerate as a business. You know, many times over the past couple of years, I've looked back at the Kelpie incident and I have felt like I was a little too lenient. Like, I feel like that incident, even though we managed to skate essentially because we got Kelpie to sign off on us suing us, I think it was extremely lenient of us to not fire Sus at that time.
Shout out to Kelpie, but he has to be one of the dumbest people on the planet. Kelpie the P is the dude that Suspect beat up on camera, his first warning or his first suspension on No Jumper. Now, like, see the clip, and then we'll talk about why Kelpie the P is one of the dumbest people on the planet.
Who are you?
I'm Lil
Who are
Kelpie,
you? No
Kelpie
one
the
knows
pimp.
you.
Kelpie the mother
The
pimp.
clown.
You
Out
gotta
of
know
here.
who I am.
Out of here.
Fuck Franklin knows who I am.
Out of here.
He
No.
knows who the I'm
You
getting
said
money
what?
every day. I said
You
Ben
said-
Franklin knows who the I am, bitch.
Who you calling a though?
I'm calling you a
Looking back now, I can call Kelpie an absolute idiot, like a moron. But at the time, we were really happy that Kelpie was stupid because we didn't want to get sued, bruh. Like, dude came for an interview, got punched on. We thought, okay, this dude is for sure gonna sue, bruh. Like, in his first interview, he's talking about how he was just homeless, so he clearly needs money. So when this happens, you got a lawsuit lay up in your lap. We thinking, bro, he about to take it, bro. He thirsty enough to sue. But, you know, we were able to convince them to take pennies. And, you know, and here's what really got him too, right? So he had every intention on suing. However, he apparently didn't sue because No Jumper promised him that he would be doing additional content with No Jumper. So he thought he was going to be like a recurring host on No Jumper. So because of that, because of the clout that blinded him, he thought, okay, I'm going to sign over my rights of suing. In exchange, I'm going to do some content on No Jumper. He tried to do like one, maybe two appearances after that, and we never heard from him again. He never did another No Jumper episode. So essentially, bro, like this dude threw away his lifeline. He threw away a golden ticket for clout, and the clout never came because he never really got nothing from it. Like when we look back and we see that Cassie got $10 million from the hotel that Diddy apparently beat her up at, $10 million. Kelpie trading in that golden ticket for a chance at clout, to me, is crazy, is moronic. But that situation, Adam, as I said prior, forgave Suspect because Kelpie called him a B first, and it feels like Kelpie was antagonizing it. This time around, Adam feels like it's the complete opposite. He feels like Suspect called Brandon a B a couple of times, and when Brandon called him one back, he pulled out a knife and spit on him.
If it had been the spit alone or the knife alone, it would have been an easy decision. It being both of them at the same time, you know, it's an easy decision. Now, I will address this narrative that I know that a lot of people are going to probably want to run with, since apparently Flacco ran with it in his video. Lush, do you feel like you're at fault?
Not at all. like 0%. But I think the whole way it transpired is really unfortunate, and I wish that there is a way that it didn't have to have this result. Like, I understand from a business perspective why, you know, that can't be tolerated, and obviously, especially considering the negative stigma that's already kind of lingering as a result of the Loose incident and things like that.
A lot of y'all have been running with this narrative, especially in the Reddit. Y'all been running with this narrative that Poetic Flacco set all this up, okay? That I brought Brandon to No Jumper as the Suspect kryptonite, knowing that Suspect and Brandon would get into it and Suspect would crash out. That couldn't be further from the truth. Suspect is actually my guy in real life. I love Suspect. I enjoy Suspect. And me and Suspect is gonna podcast together outside of No Jumper, okay? Like, I'm gonna have Suspect on my channel. We're gonna do things. So this is not a, Poetic Flacco don't like Suspect. Absolutely not. As a matter of fact, I actually tried to prevent this. When the idea was being discussed, I said, no, these two should not sit down together until they squash it. Because bringing them on while they still have beef is only going to end bad. We should not do it. I actually went out of my way to try to save Suspect's career, to be honest with y'all, bro. I did that. So for y'all to try to put this as if you're Poetic Flacco hates Suspect, it couldn't be further from the truth, man, at all. Now, they actually would explain, now first off, see how I just like completely took all blame for myself? During the news, that's essentially what would happen. Everybody was transferring blame to the other person, okay? Now, a lot of the blame from a lot of people got transferred to Lush One. Lush One is the de facto, I guess, orchestrator of what took place yesterday, or at least that's what Adam said.
I was on the road, and for the record, in the group chat, I just want to lay out how this went. It was brought up in the group chat. Adam's not here. Who should we have on the Tuesday show? Lush said, let's get Brandon and Suspect together. And then,
You might
according to you
might want to scroll up a little bit.
you reached out to them, and they both, obviously Brandon was down from the beginning, but I was informed that
in the
Suspect
debate, too.
was down for it.
And in the debate, too, he even brought up the fact that he wanted Suspect and Brandon to sit down.
Who brought that up?
Again, I ain't watching, but you told me that.
Okay. So let's clarify a few things to address to your first point.
Yeah.
As far as from a moderation perspective, Could I have done better?
You was laughing hard every time suspect said something. It was
Hey,
Feel me?
hey, stop trying to compete for King Glazer, all right?
Oh my God! Come on, man.
This is already
okay,
my
sorry.
title.
Oh,
Shut up.
Glazer.
You don't,
okay, sorry.
you don't need to cuff the balls that much,
okay,
all right?
okay.
So yeah, just
It's not even like a situation of, we didn't know. I told you beforehand this would happen. And I laid down all my reasons why this would happen. And it kind of went ignored. And I'm saying is this, okay? Even with the aspect of suspect didn't know until the morning of, that's crazy.
That is crazy because but there's the thing, he got a new number.
Yeah.
And I guess Josh had been texting his previous number. I didn't know he had a new number.
Yeah.
Josh had been hitting up his previous number. But at the end of the day, it would have been nice for him to know way in advance, but he didn't know. And he ended up showing up regardless. Yeah. And he knew that he was going to be on camera with somebody that he doesn't get along with. And I see a lot of people saying, Brandon is so confrontational, Brandon is disrespectful, etc. Well, Suspect is those things as well.
That's one of the passes I gave Suspect and believe that Suspect should be back for a second chance because he was put in a tough position. Because his number had changed, that when they were texting him, letting him know, hey, bro, you're on a No Jumper show, as well as Brandon. So he never got those messages. So when he woke up that day and seen the flyer, hey, Suspect and Brandon are on the show today, that was the first time he figured out Brandon was going to be on the show. He couldn't back out. Because if he would have back out and they put both his face and Brandon's face on the flyer and he don't show up, the fans is going to treat him as if he was a mark. Opposed to if he would have had the opportunity to say, hey, bro, I'm not doing this podcast with Brandon beforehand, and his face wouldn't have been on the flyer, then, hey, right? Like nobody would have known that he declined to show up. But if your face is already on the flyer and then you don't show up, that's going to be like another storyline. Brandon's going to have to head up on you and it's going to look bad. So he showed up, I think reluctantly, but feeling like he low-key have to for his manhood. And that's what took place, right? He showed up, it got bad. They were already like drama. They already hate each other and things got said and that happened. I think it was a mistake. I think Suspect, if he had the opportunity to take it back, I think Suspect would take it back. I think Suspect is a much-needed podcaster. I think Suspect is phenomenal. But I do believe, Suspect, he probably do need to, if he comes back, I feel like this would be the wake-up call. This would be the wake-up call for Suspect to really try to either go get help or try to regulate how he reacts to certain things, right? Because, I've always been called passive. I've always been called somebody who maybe y'all call me soft, but words don't really get to me, right? Like words are certain things that people say don't get to me. As long as you're not making up lies, if you're not creating paperwork, calling me a pedo, calling me a sex, bro, because people have done that, bro. Right, people have done that, and I've called them out, and then they take down the video. But people have literally on YouTube created fake paperwork, like saying that I have a case that I don't have. I've never been to prison, bro. Like I've never, no, bro. Like I'm not a criminal, homie. Right? But people would lie and say, I have a federal case, bro. I've never been to prison, bro. Like cut it out. Right? So maybe that.
All right, man. Well, Suspect.